The Queen was helped by the Duke of Kent and his sister, Princess Alexandra. For 50 years, she had carried out official duties with grace, but nothing could have prepared her for the storm that would come after a simple, personal gesture, one that would ignite division within the royal family, causing ripples that could be felt throughout the institution. It all began on a quiet Wednesday afternoon at Kensington Palace. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, was busy reviewing her schedule for the upcoming week when her private secretary brought in an ornate wooden box. A box that looked like it had been passed down for generations, its surface polished by years of careful handling. It was the kind of box used to store precious heirlooms that carried stories of family legacy and history. The return address on the package made Catherine pause. Princess Alexandra. As she opened the box, she was struck by the sight inside. The items were beautiful, but there was something else, something intangible about them. The pieces of jewelry inside the box were breathtaking. The delicate sapphire and diamond brooch, a symbol of royalty and timeless elegance. The pearl earrings passed down from Queen Mary herself, carrying with them a legacy of strength and dignity. And the tiara, a magnificent piece that had never been part of the official royal collection, but one that had been privately owned by the Queen Mother, passed down through family connections and private channels. The gift left Catherine breathless. She held each piece carefully, examining its beauty and significance, while her mind raced with thoughts of what this gesture meant. There was a handwritten note accompanying the jewelry, and Catherine read it twice. Princess Alexandra had sent these pieces with a purpose. They were more than just a gift. They were a statement. Alexandra, in her infinite wisdom, had chosen this moment to pass the pieces on to Catherine, bypassing Camilla, the current queen consort, altogether. The decision to give these pieces to Catherine and not Camilla would become the spark that lit a firestorm in the royal family. It was a decision that had been years in the making, but its timing and the manner in which it was delivered were deliberate, designed to send a message that would reverberate through the walls of Buckingham Palace. Princess Alexandra had been sorting through her possessions for months. Aged and with her health declining, she knew her time was growing short, and she felt an overwhelming responsibility to ensure that her affairs were in order before things were taken out of her hands. It wasn't simply the legalities that mattered, it was the legacy, the personal, deeply sentimental gifts from her family that she had kept close over the years. These items were not official royal property. They were private, personal gifts given to her by family members who had trusted her to keep them safe and honor their memories. The most significant of these pieces had come from her beloved aunt, the Queen Mother. These were not just valuable jewels, they were tokens of the love and respect that had existed between the Queen Mother and Alexandra. Over the years, the Queen Mother had given Alexandra several pieces of jewelry, personal items that held deep familial meaning, each with its own history and story. The Queen Mother had been careful with her jewelry, knowing that some pieces had sentimental value far beyond their monetary worth. One piece in particular had become Alexandra's most cherished, a stunning sapphire and diamond brooch. This was a piece that the Queen Mother wore to countless events over her long life, and it was a symbol of her resilience, grace, and strength. Alexandra also received a pair of pearl earrings that had once belonged to Queen Mary, a piece of royal history passed down through the generations. There was also an intricate bracelet made of emeralds and gold, its design both delicate and bold, and a tiara, an exquisite piece that had been personally owned by the Queen Mother, acquired through her own family connections rather than through royal marriage. These items, while magnificent in their own right, represented much more than wealth. They represented the enduring strength of the women who had shaped the monarchy through both peace and war, through triumph and scandal. Alexandra had received these pieces with the understanding that one day they would be passed down to someone who embodied the same values, the values of duty, service, and connection with the people, values that the Queen Mother had championed throughout her life. The Queen Mother's instructions to Alexandra had been clear, though not legally specific. These items were to go to someone who understood that being royal was not about status, but about service. Alexandra had watched the royal family evolve over the decades since the Queen Mother's death, and over time, she had come to form her own opinions about who truly grasped what it meant to serve in the royal family. When she looked at the current generation, one person stood out: Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Catherine had spent years proving herself. She had endured intense scrutiny, not with defensiveness or anger, but with grace. She had modernized her approach to royal duties while respecting tradition, always prioritizing the institution of the monarchy over personal preference. Alexandra saw that Catherine had the strength, dignity, and commitment to service that the Queen Mother had valued throughout her life. It was clear to Alexandra that Catherine embodied the best qualities of the monarchy, qualities that the Queen Mother had worked so hard to preserve. Thus, the decision to pass the Queen Mother's jewelry on to Catherine was not made impulsively. Alexandra had taken great care in her deliberation. She consulted with trusted advisors and legal experts to ensure there were no legal obstacles to transferring these items. She also reached out to other family members to gauge their reactions, though she kept her final decision to herself. What she discovered was surprising. Some members of the royal family thought that the jewelry should go to Camilla, the queen consort, in accordance with traditional hierarchies. Others agreed with Alexandra that Catherine, based on her merit and her embodiment of the Queen Mother's values, was the more appropriate recipient. The division within the family was clear, and it exposed deeper tensions about the modern monarchy and who truly deserved to be at its center. In the end, Alexandra made the decision that she felt was right. She would give the jewelry to Catherine. It was a deeply personal gift, one that honored the Queen Mother's legacy, but it would be given privately, without fanfare or ceremony, avoiding any unnecessary public spectacle or family embarrassment. Alexandra had the pieces professionally cleaned and appraised, ensuring they were in perfect condition before they were sent. She wrote a letter to Catherine explaining the history and significance of each piece, and why she believed Catherine was the rightful recipient. The letter was both warm and poignant, carrying an implicit message: "You are the future of this family, and these pieces represent the best of our past. Honor them by continuing to embody the values they represent." When the package arrived at Kensington Palace, Catherine was alone in her private sitting room. She opened it, not knowing what to expect, and when she saw the jewelry, she gasped. Each piece was a work of art, magnificent and timeless, a relic of royal history. Catherine held the sapphire brooch in her hands, marveling at its weight and craftsmanship, imagining the Queen Mother wearing it to events throughout her life. She read Alexandra's letter carefully, twice, letting the words sink in. The letter spoke not only of the jewelry's history, but also of the Queen Mother's character, her resilience, her connection to the people, and her understanding that being royal meant service, not privilege. The letter conveyed Alexandra's belief that Catherine, above all others, embodied these same values. Catherine realized that accepting this gift would not be as simple as she initially thought. These pieces were not only valuable in terms of their monetary worth, but also in their symbolic significance. The transfer of the jewelry, especially the tiara, would not go unnoticed. Questions would arise about why these items had been given to her instead of Camilla, the queen consort, who might have expected to receive such royal heirlooms. The decision, while thoughtful, had the potential to create tension between Catherine and Camilla, something that Catherine had worked so hard to avoid. Her first instinct was to return the pieces to Alexandra, with a gracious note explaining that while she was deeply honored, she could not accept them if they might cause discord within the family. However, as Catherine sat with the box, turning the jewelry over in her hands, she realized that refusing the gift would be disrespectful to Alexandra, who had given it to her with such thought and care. Alexandra was in her 80s, and she had served the royal family for decades with quiet dignity. To reject her gesture would not only insult her, but it would also feel like a betrayal of the values the Queen Mother had instilled in the family. After hours of deliberation, Catherine knew she had to consult Prince William before making a final decision. When he returned home that evening, Catherine showed him the jewelry and explained the situation. William listened carefully, understanding the significance of the gift, but also acknowledging the potential ramifications it might have. Together, they discussed their options. They could accept the gift privately and never wear the pieces publicly to avoid drawing attention. They could inform Camilla before the news broke, explaining that Alexandra's decision was based on long-standing family wishes rather than contemporary judgments. Or they could offer to place the items in the royal collection, though that would somewhat diminish the personal nature of the gift. Before they could settle on a decision, word about the jewelry leaked. A staff member, unaware of its significance, casually mentioned it to a colleague. Within 48 hours, the story had spread like wildfire through palace corridors, and soon, journalists were calling Catherine and William for answers. Catherine had hoped to keep the gift private, but now it seemed the story would break whether they were ready or not. Taking a proactive stance, Catherine reached out to Alexandra to thank her warmly for the thoughtful gift. She explained that the story was about to go public and asked if Alexandra was comfortable with her releasing a statement that explained the history and significance of the jewelry. Alexandra, fully supportive of Catherine's plan, agreed immediately. The statement was carefully crafted, highlighting the jewelry's provenance and Alexandra's personal connection to it, but it intentionally left out any mention of Camilla. When Camilla learned about the jewelry, she was blindsided. She had not been informed in advance, and the fact that Catherine had received such a meaningful gift without her knowledge left her feeling hurt and excluded. The situation escalated when Camilla expressed her frustration to King Charles. The family dynamics were strained, with each party feeling slighted in some way. Charles tried to mediate, explaining that the gift had been Alexandra's personal choice and Catherine had done nothing wrong by accepting it. However, Camilla, feeling disrespected, was unwilling to let the matter go. In the days that followed, the media frenzy continued to grow. Some commentators supported Catherine, seeing her as the rightful heir to the Queen Mother's legacy, while others sided with Camilla, feeling that the gift had been an inappropriate snub. Public opinion was divided, and the controversy was taking on a life of its own. In private, Catherine tried to maintain her focus on her royal duties, but the situation weighed heavily on her. She had spent years avoiding controversy, focusing on her work and her family. Now, she found herself at the center of a scandal she hadn't sought and couldn't control. The strain was palpable, and as time passed, Catherine and Camilla's relationship became increasingly distant. What had once been cordial became strained, and the tension was felt by everyone in the royal household. Princess Alexandra, watching the aftermath unfold, regretted the storm her gift had created. She had never intended for her gesture to cause such turmoil. She had simply wanted to honor Catherine, someone she believed truly embodied the values the Queen Mother had cherished. But the public reaction had exposed underlying tensions within the royal family, tensions that had been simmering for years. 6 months later, the dust had settled, but the personal impact of the gift remained. Catherine and Camilla's relationship remained polite but distant, with neither woman willing to fully bridge the gap. The gift that had been intended as a symbol of legacy and respect had instead become a symbol of division. Yet for Catherine, the message of the gift was clear. It wasn't just about jewelry or material wealth, it was about a legacy of duty, service, and commitment. She kept the pieces close, not as ornaments, but as reminders of the responsibility she had inherited. The Queen Mother's jewelry represented more than the past. It was a beacon guiding Catherine toward a future built on service and integrity. As for the royal family, the aftermath of this incident would continue to shape their dynamics for years to come. The divisions revealed by the jewelry controversy would remain, though they would be papered over with time. In the end, Catherine had to navigate a delicate balance between honoring the Queen Mother's legacy and managing the complexities of royal life. A life that was never simple, never without its challenges, but always filled with purpose.